Hi, this video is about King Solomon. He is the son of King David, and he is the product of a marriage between, well, a relationship between David and Uriah's wife Bathsheba. I mean, this was after David had a son with Bathsheba, who died in infancy because because of his adulterous affair with Bathsheba and subsequent murder of her husband. Anyway, the kingdom was promised to the kingdom of Israel. Yeah, was promised to Solomon. I mean, Solomon had to deal with his half brother Adonijah trying to take it from him, and he dealt with that problem basically by killing his brother. Well, first he forgave him, but but when he but when Adonijah tried a second time by asking for David's handmaid Abishag to be given to him as a wife, Solomon knew that Abishag really hasn't changed, and was was still desiring the kingdom and had him killed. Well, anyway, Solomon asked God for wisdom, and God gave him wisdom. He was the wisest king of that time period. He's also responsible for the construction of the first Jewish temple, um, and he's also the king that the Queen of Sheba had visited, and they had a trade agreement, and he's also famous for his proverbs. However, one thing that King Solomon is also known for is his wives. He he had 700 wives and 300 concubines. I mean, this guy was a whore. I mean, this guy has a sex drive that knew no limits. I mean, whatever princess he wanted, he got. I mean, this guy was like Billy Graham mixed with Hugh Hefner. And and things eventually fell apart from there. I mean, his wives eventually led him into idolatry. I mean, he started worshiping their gods, and God had to punish him. I mean, he took a good deal of the kingdom away from Solomon, but he didn't do it in Solomon's lifetime. He did it in the lifetime of his son Rehoboam, and that, I mean, of course, God set up set up a person that would rebel against Rehoboam, Jeroboam, son of Nebat, um, and yeah, this this guy, well renowned for wisdom, is also renowned for being a, a real horn dog. I mean, Jesus commented on Solomon in the Gospel of Matthew, saying that the Queen of Sheba will rise up with this generation and condemn it at the, as a at the judgment, because she has come from the far ends of the earth to hear Solomon's wisdom. And Jesus adds, and indeed one greater than Solomon is here, referring to himself as the one greater than Solomon, because he is God in the flesh. And though he doesn't have though he wasn't married to any one person during his lifetime as a man on earth, he is arranged to marry his bride, which is the church, the multi-personed entity. I mean, just like God had married Israel, and God is going to reconcile Israel to himself in the end times. I mean, so what's the point of my bringing up Solomon? Is basically basically that though I envy him for his wisdom and his riches, I don't necessarily envy him for his out of control sex drive. I mean, God made man and one man and one woman to be one flesh for one lifetime. That was the original design, and man screwed it up. Starting with Lamech of the lineage of Cain, who married two wives, Ada and Zillah, and that eventually filtered down to the godly lineage. I mean, Abraham had a few wives. I mean, Jacob had two wives and two concubines. And King David himself had several wives and concubines. I mean, as great as he is, he's still well, he's basically more faithful than his son Solomon. I mean, basically polygamy makes man out to be God, thinking that he can love as many wives as possible. But man is a finite being. I mean, man cannot be multiple places at once, as opposed to God. I mean, and man cannot equally satisfy all his wives. I mean, if in a polygamous relationship, I mean, and of course, man has his favorites among the wives that he married. Like in the case of Rehoboam, he had Maacah as his favorite wife. I mean, so it's basically discouraged in the New Testament. I mean, Paul said, any man who desires to be a bishop or a deacon is to be the husband of one wife. And if that's good enough for a person who desires to be a bishop or a deacon, it's good enough for the common man who is a follower of God.